Good morning, YouTube. It's been a little while since I made one of these videos, and my camera was kind of being a little bit odd. It has this thing where even if the batteries are charged but not fully charged, or if the memory stick is nearly full, or I haven't determined all of the exact circumstances, but it basically will be fine as long as you're trying to, in the mode where you view the videos or pictures or whatever is on it, but as soon as you switch into the mode where you're trying to take video or pictures, it will immediately shut off. Like, the lens will extend and then the little green light will immediately turn off. So that was a little weird. It's kind of been doing it, it's kind of still doing it, but for the most part, if I have an empty memory stick in it and batteries that I just finished charging — I use rechargeable batteries, so that could even be part of it, but as long as the memory stick is empty and the batteries just got done charging, it's usually alright. So we're going to try it this way for a little while, and, it seems to be working fine for now, so we'll keep going with how we're going. I was looking through my videos that were before I was doing them in the car, which a lot of you probably haven't seen any of those videos because I made them all private, as I explained on the first video that's actually still in existence, or maybe like the second one, or I don't know, somewhere in that range. There's a video explaining all that. But whatever the case, I am now only doing videos in the car, and don't have any videos that aren't in the car. And one of the videos that wasn't in the car was talking about Gaia Online and some other online stuff, but a lot of it was about Gaia, and I kind of wanted to do that video again, I guess. Not really do the video again, because that, implies that I'm doing it verbatim. I'm, going through everything that I've said before and saying it again. And I don't want to do that. What I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of do another Gaia video, and one that will actually, stay up. And I guess I have to admit that the main reason I'm doing the video is because that video, got a lot of hits. I have to admit, I'm on here to be watched, and when I make a video that gets people to watch, I want to do it again. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So anyway, I think what I'd like to do with this video is first explain what Gaia is, for those who don't know, and then go into exactly what I do on it. Okay, at its core, Gaia is basically a forum site. They've talked about making it into a full-fledged RPG type thing sometime in the very distant future, it looks like at this point. But at the moment, it's really just a forum site, like any other. But what makes it different is that anything you do on that forum site, whether it's, just surfing around, looking at posts, making posts, voting in polls, all that usual forum stuff that you do anyway when you're just like chatting with people on a forum, gives you gold, which is the Gaia Online currency. So you keep gaining this gold, and beside every post you have a little avatar. It's a little anime-like character, which in the beginning you customize its hair, skin tone, eye shape, eye color, just little things. You really can't customize it, extremely much. That was a terrible bit of grammar there, but, you get the point. You can't, make this so unique that it's immediately identifiable by anyone, but you can at least, get it the way you want it to look. You can get the general hairstyle, color, eyes, whatever. And from there, you can use the gold that I mentioned earlier, and you can buy things for that avatar. You can buy clothing, you can buy More recently, they've had items you can hold, such as swords and such. You can buy little stuffed animals for your avatar to hold, or, you know, a little dog to stand beside your avatar. You know, all this, at this point, is really just associated with how your avatar looks to everyone else. And that is basically what the gold is used for. And what's interesting about this forum site, or at least interesting to me, is that it's developed a whole economy within it. You know, I suppose that's somewhat natural. Games like World of Warcraft have developed an economy and other things like that. And, you know, it's a very perfect model. Like, you know, no real economy would behave quite the way these games' economies do, because, you know, all of the items in these games are, like, if you have two items that, you know, have the same name, then those two items are going to function exactly the same, and you don't really get that in real-world society as much. Whatever the case, so it's developed this economy, and the one item that, in particular, I've been interested in is these items that came in what were originally called donation letters. I think now they're calling them something like monthly collectibles, because they realized that, you know, they are not a, you know, non-profit organization of any sort. You know, they are not getting donations, they're getting paid. And you don't pay for the site in any other way. So the way it works is for every $2.50 you give to the site, they give you this little letter. And there's a different letter for each month of each year. So, like, if I bought a letter right now, since it's February of 07, I would get the February of 07, you know, monthly collectible letter. And from there, around mid-month, you know, it's already late February, so they're already openable, but around mid-month, those letters become openable into one of either 2 or 3 items. They only started doing 3 recently, but up until now, well, way back when, the very first letter, there was only 1 item, but from that point on, it's always been 2 or more. And, you know, when you basically choose to open these letters, you get one of those items of your choosing. You get to actually choose what's inside the letter. For instance, a lot of the time they will have 2 that are similar. Like, I think the second one ever opened into a little panda hat or a little grizzly bear hat. So, you know, they're both similar, but you got to choose which of the 2 you liked. So, the key with these items, from an economic standpoint, is that, you know, look at it in supply and demand. These letters are only purchased through real-world money, and as soon as the month that they're in is over, there are only as many as were purchased during that month in the economy. So, for instance, as soon as February is over, there will be no more February letters, or February of 07 letters anyway. You know, however many were purchased by users within this month will be it, and will be all the letters for this month. So, from an economic standpoint, that's a finite amount of supply and a potentially infinite amount of demand, you know, at least a constantly growing amount of demand, because A, there are more users joining the site every day, so, you know, obviously a certain percentage of those users are going to want any given item, so demand is going to increase in that way. And B, as an item becomes older, I've found that users tend to realize they want it a lot more when, you know, it's been around for a long time. Like, when an item first comes out, people are sometimes kind of like, I don't know about this item, you know, it doesn't look all that great, and they'll just kind of ignore it. But then a year later, when that item is so much harder to obtain and, you know, has become such a norm for the site, that they've seen people wearing these so often that they've gotten used to the idea of it, then the item becomes that much more desirable. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're a, user on Gaia Online, as I am, these items are a great way to make money. The way I personally do it with these is I do feel that, it's really good to support the site, since it obviously brings me a lot of enjoyment, and probably more enjoyment than a lot of similar ideas. Like, I think I have more fun on Gaia than I do I certainly did when I played EverQuest, and sometimes even more than games like World of Warcraft and such. And those games carry a monthly fee. And this game, it doesn't enforce a monthly fee, but for a monthly fee, you can, get these items. So what I end up doing is, on months when I can afford it, I try to spend about $20 on the site. It helps support the servers, and it isn't too much out of my wallet. On months like this one, where, money's kind of tight, I now have enough virtual gold that I can usually just purchase the items, using my character's actual gold. And I do that by purchasing it from other users, obviously. I don't know if I mentioned that, but, there's this whole trading system. There's basically an in-game eBay called the Marketplace. But, so that's what I've been doing for a while. And, so I get these letters in the month they come out, or at the very latest, within a month or two of them coming out. So they're still relatively cheap. And then I save them for one entire year. And because I've been doing this for more than a year, I now have a year's worth of these letters all saved up. And I try not to open them because they're generally worth more if they're unopened, since, at that point you have a choice as to which of the two items you still want. So I leave them unopened, I save them for a year, then I sell them back. Or, sell them for the first time if I bought them with real money. And they're worth a lot more, as, any economic, what's the word I've used? Economist? I think that's it, yes. Any economist would tell you these items are going to be worth more. Especially because a lot of them do contain very desirable items. I remember, a little over a year ago, I want to say it's almost been a year and a half now, they released one called the Kiki Kitty, which was this little white cat plush doll thing that you could, have on your avatar's head or whatever else. And, I didn't really want one, but I could look at that and say, a lot of people are going to want that. So for that particular month, because a friend of mine owed me $20, I spent 20 of my own dollars, and then said to my friend, okay, instead of, paying me back that $20, why don't you, give that $20 to Gaia Online in my name? So then I ended up with $40 worth of these things, which means I had 16 unopened letters. And when the time came around to actually, sell those back, they were worth quite a lot. At the moment on Gaia, I think I'm almost up to 3 million gold now. I'm not quite there, but I know I'm way over 2 million, and I think over 2.5 million. And, that's not quite, dollars to gold, but it's still a very significant amount of gold. So, let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted to also tell you, at least briefly, about generally what I do there these days. I've gone through a lot of phases on there. There's a lot of different things to do. There's a lot of different forums to visit that you can, talk about all sorts of different topics. And the one place that I spend time, usually at least once a week, usually exactly once a week, but some weeks end up getting skipped, like the last two, I've got this role-playing game that I'm actually hosting there. It was a somewhat recent addition to the site, and I say that recent being that I've been on the site for like 3 years, so it's probably more like a year and a half, which is like forever for most people on that site, but somewhat recent in my mind. They started making it so that you can post a role along with any post you make. So you can tell it, for instance, you know, I want to roll 2d6s and add 2 to them, and, you know, pair that along with my post. And then whatever you posted, it will show that text, and it will show what you rolled and the results of that roll. So this is obviously very useful for role-playing, if any of you have role-played before. And this is I guess mainly I used it as a solution because I've been planning this as a, you know, paper and pencil face-to-face RPG for a long time, but, you know, hadn't really gotten to it, and I was moving away. And so the players I had that were kind of interested in it, I wasn't going to be able to do it with them. I would have to find a whole nother role-playing group and get them interested, and I might move again. So what I decided to do was to host this game online, and on Gaia Online. And that way, you know, I would be able to continue role-playing with the group I was with. You know, it was a bunch of guys that I'd like to stay in contact with anyway, and what better way to do it than to role-play once a week with them. So I started up this game. It's now been, I think, just a little over a year since I started it, and it's still running along smoothly. And I've really come to appreciate the format. We don't do it play-by-post, as in, like, you know, post and then wait for a day or however long it takes for the next person to post, etc. We do it real-time, but, you know, we just basically pick a night of the week. For a very long time now, it's been Monday nights. And almost every Monday night, we all get online and, you know, post as we go along. And the things that I really like about this medium is that you can, you know, first of all, you can preserve absolutely everything that has ever been said. You know, you can go back and look and see when this happened, how it happened, and keep up a continuity that would be hard to do otherwise. And you also, it keeps players, as opposed to, like, in a chat room role-playing, in a chat room, generally, a lot of people take on the mentality that you need to, you know, say what you're going to say and say it quickly in order to keep up with everyone else. And if you take your time typing it out and making it look good, then you feel like you'll get left behind and kind of get lost in the flow of things. And with a forum site, it's a rather different setting because, you know, you at least have to wait 1 minute between each of your posts. And a lot of the time people will take longer than that, so, you know, just the whole pace of it is toned down a notch so that you can focus a lot more on the quality of the role-playing and make it look really good. You know, I feel that any text-based role-playing should read a lot like a book. You know, it should be capitalized, it should be punctuated. You know, maybe not a final draft of a book, obviously, because we don't have an editor going in and fixing the mistakes we make, or in some cases we do, but, you know, certainly not like the big mistakes, but at least like a first draft of a book, where, you know, the author is paying attention to grammatical and spelling things, and, you know, you can pay a little bit of extra attention to your posts. I haven't been sleeping a while. Haven't been getting enough sleep over this past weekend, but as I was saying, you can pay a lot more attention to these posts and, you know, actually make them look good. So that is one of the uses I have for the site at this point. The other thing that I mostly use it for, and I know I'm running long, really long, but I'm almost done, I think. The other place that I mostly visit, and this I actually visit on a daily basis instead of a weekly basis, is this thread I made in the Charity and Quest forum. Oh boy, I have to go into more background here. What people will often do, and especially for these, monthly collectible items, is they'll go in and they'll say, wow, I really want that item, but people are selling it for 200,000 gold, and I have 1,000 gold. And so what they'll do is they'll go on what's called a quest. Now, it's not any kind of in-game feature. What it is you basically create a, thread saying, this is what I'm questing for, I'm trying to get this is my money goal, keep updates of how much gold you have toward that goal, etc., etc. And then you just kind of chat in it, people come by, say hi, wish you luck, and eventually the idea is that, first of all, just through posting there, you'll of course continually gain gold, and if you are, posting your progress and all that, then it kind of keeps you honest. It keeps you saying, this is what I'm questing for, and, I'm not going to spend gold on other items because I'm saving up for this one. And by making that as a public statement, it makes you a lot more, it makes it a lot easier, well, not necessarily easier to stop, but harder to actually go out and spend a bunch of money, because then you have to post that your, amount went down. If there are people hanging out with you in that thread, they'll see that. And so you feel kind of obligated to continue on that quest. And the other idea of it is that people with a lot of gold who don't have a lot to do with it, which is pretty much in the situation I'm in, I don't really have any items that I want at the moment, and any that I do notice that I want, I can just grab up without really blinking an eye. So people like me will go around and say, oh look, this person is on a quest, they seem like a nice person, they seem like a cool person, maybe I'll give them, 1,000 gold, which for me is nothing, but for them might help their progress along by 1 or 2%. And, it's really a wonderful thing, just like donating money is in real life, because, it makes the donator feel good because they just got to help someone out. It makes the donatee feel good because they just got closer to their goal. It's just a nice thing to do all around and very enjoyable. So what I've done, the other thing, people make quote-unquote charities where, people donate to the charity, or the charity will just raise money itself, through the people posting, and then the charities will have specific rules for giving out gold to other players. Like, let's say, I think I saw a charity once that specialized in kimonos. They thought that kimonos were really great, and that everyone should have one. And so it was this charity for people who were questing for kimonos, and in that case I think they might have actually even attempted to buy kimonos for people, which kimonos are not cheap on Gaia, they're a pretty popular item, and so the store price for them is fairly high. So, let's see, where was I going with this? Yes, I've created a thread. It's in the Charities and Questing forum, and basically the idea of this thread is not really to be a charity, but just, a cool place to hang out, because, some of the best people I've met are in the Charity and Quest forums, and, it's mostly just a place to hang out, meet cool people, and every once in a while when I get in the mood for donating, most of the people who are visiting there are on some kind of quest, or, at least, I would say at least 75% of them are on a quest at the moment, and can just kind of, as long as they have it in their signature that's at the bottom of each of their posts, I can say, hey look, so-and-so that I've been hanging out with for a few months could really use some help, and I've got all this extra gold sitting around, and so I'll just kind of donate money to people. And, you know, I found it to be the thread has gone places that I really didn't intend it to. You know, it's become a very cool place to hang out. You know, most of the people who I like have stuck around, and most of the people who I don't like end up, you know, getting bored with it and leaving. Whoops, sorry. So, you know, I think probably the people that I don't like as much end up coincidentally, or not coincidentally, being the people who are really just there to try and get some easy money. And I put right on the beginning of the thread, you know, this is not a place for easy money. You know, I'm not just giving out money to people, and sometimes I'll go for months on end without giving anyone any money, and it's not, you know, anything personal. I'm just not in the mood. You know, and the whole money giving thing is solely based on my personal mood at that moment. So it's really become like this excellent dynamic between me and the people who visit, and I've really met some great people in this thread. And it's generally the thread that I point people toward when you know, I first meet them and want to hang out, because they can also meet a lot of great people there, any, you know, new people I just met. And if I'm going to get to know someone in that thread, or going to know someone on Gaia, that's where I'm going to do it. Anyway, I am at my bus stop, my usual place where I end videos. I managed to talk my entire ride, so this is probably a painfully long video. So I commend you for watching the whole thing. You are a very patient person, and you rock, okay? I'm telling you that right now. You awesome. Right there. Either that or you're just really bored, but that's cool too. I'm glad you chose to spend your boredom with me. I'm gonna stop now, because if I keep talking, I'm just going to talk forever. And this is going to be an infinitely long video. And, like, when I reduce it to, like, the 10 megabyte size, it's going to, like, be the lowest quality. You won't even be able to tell it's me. I'm gonna go.